This will be a day long remembered. Now I am the master.
Welcome to another episode of Legends and Theories.
And welcome to my review of Madam Web. If you haven't seen this movie yet, then I honestly recommend you just keep that because this movie is awful. But if you, for whatever reason like me, just have to see what this is and just have to see how bad it is to believe it, and you don't want spoilers, then don't watch this video, but honestly, I think this is something you may want to know spoilers for. Like, I hate having the movie spoiled, but I kind of wish I knew what I was getting into because this movie, it's worse than you think it is, and I already had extremely low expectations. I didn't expect this to be good at all. I expected it to be really bad, and it was just so much more worse. Like, I have no idea how this was ever, approved to be released in theaters because everything is terrible. The acting is terrible, the cinematography is terrible, the special effects are terrible, the script is terrible, the villain is terrible, the main character is terrible, the secondary characters are really just not great. They're not terrible completely, but they're not great. Everything is just a major mistake. I have genuinely no idea what they were thinking when they made this because there is no redeeming qualities about this movie. Like Morbius, that movie was it was bad, but it was so bad it was good. One of those things that's really fun to watch ironically. And that's what I was hoping this was. But no, this was just it was just bad, bad. Like it's so hard to explain because you really can't understand how truly terrible it is, no matter how well it's described, because the most standout review I saw was worst movie a person's ever seen in theaters, and honestly, it is really insane. I have seen multiple people saying they need to apologize to other bad superhero projects they've seen because this just blows it out of the water, and I totally agree. Honestly, I might just watch a few other bad ones just to see how this compares because from the first scene to really the last, this was just unwatchable. And yeah, honestly, like, there was stuff that made no sense. I have no idea why Uncle Ben had to be here. The character was completely unnecessary, and it just made no sense for him to be here, as was for Peter Parker's mother, and the fact that, she's going to have Peter Parker in this movie, but they can't, for some reason, say Peter Parker's name. And I honestly think that's because Sony saw what movie they made and were like, yeah, you can't have Peter Parker related to this. You can keep the movies you have, but you can't say that this child that was born is Peter Parker. And I don't know, the same seems to cover Aunt May because this was just awful. The thankful thing is you can 100% confirm this is not set in any of the continuities that we have previously seen. So that is a really good benefit because you don't want this to be the backstory of any of our three Spider-Men. We can confirm that through the fact that we know that Uncle Ben was not a paramedic in either version of the fully Sony produced Spider-Man films. And then looking at the MCU, we could see that the Daily Bugle is a newspaper and that the timeline wouldn't make a whole lot of sense with the fact that Peter Parker was born in 2001, and that lines up with, him in his high school career and everything until, the blip happens, because that messes things up with how old he is compared to the year, but it still lines up when you look at the pre-blip years, and yeah, honestly, it is. It's just insane how bad this is. I don't even know why they thought this, like, any of this was a good idea. As I said, nothing in this is enjoyable. The villain's motivation makes absolutely no sense when it's revealed that the vision of his death he keeps having isn't actually the vision of his death. So his motivation makes absolutely no sense, since he shouldn't have had these visions if they were never going to happen. And you can't even say, like, it's the timeline until Madam Web intervenes, because they know that Madam Web is going to go to Peru to figure out her identity, and that would lead directly to the villain's defeat. But yeah, honestly, that is just really ridiculous. And the worst part of this is Madam Web as a character just really has very minor development. She learns that her mother didn't put her in danger for no reason, but she never learns how to master her abilities. It just comes out of complete nowhere where she's able to perfectly master her visions of the future. And yeah, honestly, it's just bad. And then I feel like even the stuff where they just try to do things that are, comic accurate just make no sense, since it just feels like kind of random that she gets hit by a random firework in the face and then also is somehow paralyzed. It really makes no sense. And then there's some other things that made even less sense, where it seems like in some scenes they completely forgot to change things, like after her mother gives birth, it still shows that she's fully pregnant. And I don't know, I just don't know why they thought this movie was a good idea. It is just awful. So if you haven't seen it yet and you watch this video, please don't watch it, because this movie is truly terrible. Hopefully, whether with Craven or at least it's like Morbius, where it's so bad it's good. But yeah, don't watch this. It's awful. And I'll see you on the next episode of Legends and Theories.
Thank you for watching this episode of Legends and Theories. Please subscribe, like the video, share the video, leave a comment, check out the video on screen, and may the Force be with you.